so where people thought I wasn't from there, and it was just like crazy.
Well,
so
that did kind of sound like you had the Togo outfit on. He said,
But little did they know, in 2025, the Togo outfit
it's there.
way more relevant.
Yeah.
He was ahead.
You just literally described Africa and then was like, I don't know what the problem was.
All right, everybody, we are finally here. 1 year in the making. We're officially here at the Party Hills podcast.
Whew.
I'm Big Venti, and of course,
Hey, Shantae Wayans.
and today we have a very, very special guest, Tabi Bonney.
Yes.
Tabi is a musician. He is a visual artist. He is an entrepreneur. Most recently, he's an author now. You know, I don't know what he isn't.
Right.
Tabi, what are you not?
Yeah, let's start there, right?
But it's super cool to have Tabi here. And actually, I knew that he would be the perfect first guest for the Party Hills podcast, because we're going to explore the entertainment industry and everything that comes with it. And what better guest to have someone who actually was on all sides, corners of the entertainment industry. So this is great.
Yeah, it is. What's up, Tabi?
What's up? Glad to see y'all.
Yeah, man.
Always.
Yeah.
Been so long in the making. So long. And I feel like we're soul family. Both of y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I had the opportunity of meeting Tabi on Venti's Party Hill Idol.
Party Hills Idol. Those were two of our celebrity judges.
Yeah. And I already knew what kind of magnetic field was here. Like, Venti really knows how to put people together.
He does.
And we were judges for this, Party Hills Idol for other artists. And what I loved about Tabi, we had another guest, and I love you, Robert, all day. But he Latin and he do his music and stuff. Very, very intelligent genius and dope artist as well. But he just kept going like, I like it. and there was one, this is what's crazy. There was one group that I kept going, I'm just not feeling the music. And Tabi pulled me aside and he goes, no, you don't understand like where they're from and how they do things. And to be honest, I started looking at their Instagram. I fell in love with them. Like the stuff that come out and having it bang in your head, it hit, but I didn't get it. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was really dope, and I think we've been cool ever since.
What was so dope to me about that night is, and every time I have a new project, like I will call Tabi because he's just a creative genius, and he's the type of person you're gonna need, right? Yeah. And he comes out to me at the show, and I thought about what he said to me before today's first episode of Party Hills podcast. And he's like, man, you just do everything. And then I was like, oh, wow, you know why he said that to me? Because he does everything, and he's recognizing the versatility. And I want to know, like, where did this whole world, the way you see the world, how did this creative lens to the universe around you? Do you remember when it started or where it first started?
I don't know, man. I think just being back and forth between Togo and DC, it's almost like completely different worlds. Mm-hmm. So you just start seeing stuff, you notice the changes. Mm-hmm. So, and I think also not being stuck in one environment, your mind opens up a little bit more. And then, my parents used to take us everywhere when we were, since we were babies. Mm-hmm. They would, whether it's Paris or, of course, DC, back to Togo, like they never left us. We would always be with them. So I think from a very young age. Yeah, a very young age.
That's major. Like travel just changes everything.
Yeah, it changes. And then, and then of course being exposed to different cultures, because even when I remember being babies, and we would be out, in Africa, it's like kind of open air clubs almost. Where it's like you don't have to go, it's everything's out. Mm-hmm. Not everything's outside, but certain things are like outdoor. It's outdoor living, even outdoor partying. Yeah. So I remember being at the bar, but like sitting on the stool with my parents as a baby.
They didn't card you.
So I think just exposure. Yeah,
that's dope. I mean, if one person could get into the party, it's Tabi.
Yeah.
And what was like the first art form that you entertained?
The first art form I entertained probably was almost like any kid drawing. You know, as I think most kids.
Yeah, no, you.
Hey,
Yeah, man.
that's where I started. I started
where
with
you
drawing.
started?
Yeah, I
well,
felt that.
maybe male kids. I don't know about.
Wow. Now
but
I'm not
yeah.
a man. No.
You no.
Mess with you. Confuse everybody.
So as you were traveling, you know, Shantae wants to know about the kind of people you met. I think she has it. She was
No, I just think it's really dope that you. First of all, you were born in DC.
I was born in Togo.
Togo. So
Yeah, but my mother's from DC.
Yeah.
My father's from Togo. My brother and sister were born in DC.
how long did you live in Togo? Like, do
Since-
you remember growing up there?
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
we officially, up till I was 7, then started living in DC. But we would come back every summer.
Yeah.
So school years in Togo, summers in DC, then school year in DC, summers in Togo.
So dope. My biggest thing is because it's DC, Togo, and then LA. But you came to LA when you were a little older.
Yeah,
But
adult.
well, you know, I'm just trying to, you know, because you've been everywhere, so I want to make sure I have the timeline right. But you felt like the artistry came from when you was in Togo, or it was just
No,
about...
it came from the U.S. being in D.C. I didn't really. I think even with music, when I first heard rap, hip hop on the radio, my mind just exploded.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was just like, "What is this?" You know what I mean? And then I think, you know, you're such a fan of something, then at some point you start to try to do it. And I think that's how, you know, it came about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my father was one of the biggest musicians in Togo. So I was around music since I was born, hearing, you know, a 10, 12-piece band practicing in the basement weekly.
Love that.
Like, so we've been around that, like, you know, forever.
You know, it's interesting. Looking at your stuff on Instagram and just you traveling back and forth. I haven't traveled like that. I did a USO tour and went to a few places, but my brother's a traveler and he hangs out with the actual cultures and going into places. I've always been fearful of traveling unless I know someone from there because of the stories I hear. So when I see stuff on your social media, I'm like, it's nothing like it's described in media, or, you know, and I know that sounds ignorant,
No,
but
but
it's embedded in me for some reason.
I see fear as the great divider, right? Because if a lot of times when you don't know about something, your first instinct, because of how it's portrayed, is to fear it rather than want to discover it. But it's all a perspective switch, right? So if you're exposed to traveling and other cultures, kind of like Tabi was, you're actually going to be even more intrigued to learn more.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Because the truth is anything could happen at any time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, no matter where you are.
So you just got to risk it. Just got to risk it.
When did you actually put the pen? Matter of fact, could you remember your first rhyme that you?
No, yeah, it was probably middle school, but yeah, I have no idea what I wrote. It was probably in some composition book. My mother, you know, probably at my mother's house still. But yeah, I have no idea.
I love that.
This is an interesting question I always like to ask musicians, right? Did you start by just writing the lyrics in your head, or did you have to listen to the beat to inspire the lyrics?
Lyrics in my head. I couldn't write to a beat at first.
Oh, wow.
Like, for me, it was always without a beat, and I would fit it somehow to any beat, whatever I had in my head.
So your father's this renowned musician. You come to DC, you fall in love with hip hop. What would you say mostly inspired your earlier sound?
I think it was just, you know, I can't even remember how I rap, but I'm pretty sure, you know, you kind of imitate what you hear or like first. And I think, you know, I was doing that. I have no idea who I was imitating.
I believe that because you don't sound like anyone and nobody sounds like you. People have tried, but they failed. Ain't no I know some good music. Turn this off.
But then I think, and you know, for, you know, you're a musician as well, and then you're a comedian, but it takes years to start to find your voice.
Yeah.
And then, you know, so it was, you know, of course, with any creative, it's a long path.
That's real. Tabby helped me find my voice. So I was kind of, I was hitting up Tabby. I'm like, you're someone I respect. And it's crazy. Again, I'm sitting next to Tabby. We met for the first time. I was interviewing him in LA. Now I get to interview him again. So he's someone who I listened to earlier in my music, who I looked up to, who I was like, this is the dopest sound. So I know if I have access for him to tell me if my music's good or not, I'm going to Tabby. And what had happened was, it was COVID time. I had COVID, and I was talking like this. And then I was showing Tabby all my music, and he's like, wait, rewind that. I was like, no, I had COVID. Did that? What? He's like, play that again. He's like, hey, you need to just rap like that. So the even cooler, darker part of that is when I had COVID, it was very scary because I regretfully gave it to my parents, and my father got really sick. And that was like a really dark time. And I carried that guilt, like, oh my gosh, am I actually going to be the reason why my father doesn't make it?
Yeah.
So with that tone, it opened up something else, like some of my darker, deeper emotions that maybe I was filtering out. Because, I think the best musicians are the vulnerable ones, right?
Yeah.
And vulnerability is so key. I tell people when they come to the studio here to record, like, just be vulnerable, because you're going to get to the raw. And for me, that's what it took, and it was great advice. But yeah, like, it's so interesting about finding your voice. I know vocalists who their first time in the studio, it just sounds right, and you're like, wow, like Kaden, the Party Hills Idol winner.
Yeah.
She came in here, and it was just like, it was her.
Yeah.
It was her all the way. So there was no effort to be had.
Yeah.
Right. And then other people, they don't have it naturally, but they can still achieve greatness. And we've seen that happen. You've seen artists who, when they started, you're like, oh, it's all right. Then their later stuff, you're like, oh, what is this?
Yeah.
And it's all about arriving. And I believe it's all about arriving to your true self, your vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Same thing with comedy. Like, there's people who get on stage, and I don't care what they talk about. It's like having that auntie or relative in your family for Thanksgiving or something. And they're just naturally funny, but they also have the gift of gab. Whereas, like, before my earlier stages, I used to doubt myself because it was like, if I can't get past this point, then I don't know how to continue the conversation.
Wow.
Whereas people just keep talking. It's just like, one of them natural spits, and you go, if I had that auntie voice from the South, you know what I mean? Like, it would just, but that's crazy that it works in both areas.
And for you to learn that technique on stage, where you're now just having a conversation, was there a learning curve there? Kind of like we had?
What you just said, be vulnerable. Be vulnerable, but be you. I think the audience can tell that you're nervous or doubting yourself in some type of way. And
They know. How do they know? Like, I tried to front it sometimes. They can see right through it.
But it's like a dog smelling, like knowing that you can, without calling people dogs, but they can literally sense something's off. And that's what it kind of is. And for me, luckily, I got to a place where I feel like everything was full circle. So all the things I've been through, especially in these past few years, was like, oh, I low-key needed it.
Wow.
So I can have the experience that I have to talk about on stage right now.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, just knowing you, when people hear the name Tabi, what do you think they expect, and what do you wish they knew about you?
I mean, I would hope kindness, if would be the first thing. Just try to live my life where it's, just good to everybody. You know what I mean, and not do people wrong. And then probably the second thing would be to just live your life, how you want to create your own world. That's what I've how I've led my life, is create my own world and not going with the norm of, and there's nothing wrong with the norm if that's you, but I think everyone has their own rhythm inside of how they need to move forward in life.
Yeah.
That's music in itself. You know what I'm saying? And one thing about his sound libraries, what made Tabi so unique is it wasn't violence, it wasn't hatred. The kindness actually seeped through the music, which was rare in hip hop at the time when he first did, and even now,
Yeah.
and bringing your truth, your light. And what did that feel like, bringing that kindness in a world where everyone else wasn't? Was there a pressure to switch at any point?
Yeah, no, I think that's what made stuff happen, especially being from DC at the time. And, when, I was in DC, growing up in DC, it was the murder capital. So for me, it was like everybody was just in this box or this way. Everyone wore black or gray, or everyone wore Tim's or New Balance.
Was that shade at being Shantae? Right. I just gotta make sure.
Change
But I remember even, wearing what is it? Almost, I think it was a sky blue tank top in my video, and people were like, "He's not from DC." Just because of the colors I had, you know what I mean? It was just like, no, so where people thought I wasn't from there, and it was just like crazy.
Well,
so
it did kind of sound like you had the Togo outfit on. He said tank top.
but little did they know, in 2025, the Togo outfit
it's there.
Way more relevant.
Yeah.
He was ahead.
You just literally described Africa and then was like, I don't know what the problem was.
So Tabi, you create your own lane in music, and then you realize it doesn't stop there. So what was the next artistic avenue you explored?
It was, I guess, directing, because I had to pick up the camera and direct my own videos, because it was too expensive to keep paying directors to shoot my own video. Plus, couldn't get the look that I wanted. I'm like, why am I paying someone that can't get it to look how I want it to look? So I just borrowed a camera from a friend and figured it out from there. So that was the next creative process. But it was because of necessity. I had to. It wasn't because I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
But I fell in love with it doing that.
And a lot of the times when people explore that new avenue out of necessity, they sometimes build resentment because of the burden that comes with it, because now you're an artist and a director. Did you go through any growing pains doing that?
Oh yeah, it took what, 3 months to shoot my first video.
Wow.
And calling out a bunch of people, you know what I mean? Like from the city, a bunch of artists at the time, where it's like, I don't even know where that footage is now, but shot it on the wrong mode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just a bunch of just novice stuff,
It happens.
Yeah, but you learn,
Yeah,
you learn.
I've heard Shantae tell me a few stories on her shows. I was like, do I need to pull up with my iPhone? Because the iPhone shoots great, Shantae.
Well,
It does.
you just, it's the same space of like, it was hard for me to write stuff down initially. And not necessarily jokes, but visually. So if I wanted to write a sketch or just a scene or something like that, I have it in my head. But I was so gun-ho on structure and how people write it as structure. I would literally like, all right, you show up. I go, okay, Tabi, I just need you to do this. And I remember people going, yeah, all right. And then I put it together because I edit and all that stuff. So I put it together and be like, yo, this was good. I'm like, see, just follow. But visually to try to, I think when you have all those different hats and you're trying to get that out, you need somebody super solid to be able to
You do.
to get out your thoughts and be patient as well.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it takes a team.
Yeah.
Everything takes a team. So even whenever I see anyone that, I'm sure you all too, anyone that has any sort of somewhat success, you know what it takes to even get to that, just a little glimmer of some sort of shine. So for me, it's like, it's hard to hate on anybody.
It takes half your soul. I don't know how your theme is kindness, because it didn't happen that way with me. By the way, speaking of team, shout out our team, HP, Vero, Jay. Thank you so much for producing this show.
Absolutely. Party Hills podcast with special guest Tabi Bonney. I also think it's with the things that you've done, being an entrepreneur and an artist and stuff like that. What's interesting is a lot of people are afraid to go outside of what people are used to them doing. For instance, being a comedian and then trying to, I don't know, go be a public speaker, or just
Well,
switching
you're still
gears.
a public speaker.
Well, yeah, but
motivational speaker.
Thank you. Listen, man, I am the host on co-host. Okay, don't judge. This is the issue with no.
Notice how I didn't have your back. Usually I would, but it's Tabi
you just
Bonney,
left me in the dust. It's okay.
This is my hero.
HP, edit that out. No. But when you dip into other things, i.e., you're doing children's books, you're doing coffee and stuff like that. Was this something that was just an extension outside of your music? Meaning, did you stop music at a certain point to dip into this? And how did that feel? Because a lot of people are afraid to let that go because they're riding a wave already.
Yeah. I stepped back from music. I think when my father passed, also it was that whole trap era kind of came in, and then I saw my music kind of start to plateau. And when I say my music plateau, as far as like numbers and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And I didn't feel like I fit in that new world of trap, or so I just took a step back, and also when my father passed, he left all the land in Togo for me, so it's like I had this huge burden on me where it's like it's coffee farms, cacao farms, and then if for people who don't know Africa or African business, you have other people clamoring to take that land. So it's like it was just a heavy burden on me, and trying to figure out what to do with it, make sure that we still retain it. So for years it was just figuring that out, figuring like business out.
Would you say that was the most difficult stage of your career?
Absolutely. But I've learned that it's just like anything, no matter what you're trying to do, it's always that beginning point of learning about it, figuring it out, researching. You start, chipping away at it, and then you're like, oh, you know what I mean? Yeah.
And that's so important for our listeners, because you sometimes forget that artists are human too. The same bills you got to pay, the same life issues that happen, they happen to some of your favorite artists and celebrities. So I'm glad that we get to have these insights on the show so people could really see the process behind this. But luckily for you, Tabi, I had Parachute on remix, man, for like 3 years, bro. Amazing song, man.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah.
You and your partner, you started a children's book. Was the A for Africa, right?
Yeah.
And you got the whole side. You was looking at me like, what you talking about?
No, because you said
like, it's in your bio.
I hope it's out.
No, when you said partner, my sister, Tabi Bonney, she authored it with me.
You know what it was? On your Instagram, you had somebody else sitting there. The artist.
Oh, the artist. Yeah.
The
artist.
Oh, my bad, wrong.
Yeah, I didn't know when you said.
It's like, my bad.
Yeah, no, just collaborated with the artist. But what was your question? Sorry.
No.
well, maybe like more so the path to the book.
The path to that. So I went to Florida A&M University in Tallahassee. I have a friend. A lot of good people who went to FAMU, from like say Common, the rapper. Went to
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Dead Prez went to FAM. The rappers, Will Packer, Jerry Lorenzo, who owns Fear of God, and then so my friend owns this company called We Are Little Giants. It's a kids' clothing line, and he was always like one of the flyest guys on campus. Always had like the Ralph Lauren on that cost like $1,000 for a ski jacket in college. You know what I mean? So he created a line for his kid, almost like a Kid Supreme line. And they put out books like cool ABC sneaker books and stuff like that. So we were just catching up one day, and somehow we were like, oh, we should collaborate on something, and you should create it was really going to be A is for Afrobeats book, but I changed it to Africa just because of broader longevity. So that's how the book came about.
And how important is it to you as part of your vision or mission with the book to bring this education to children?
Yeah.
Is it passing information to the next generation?
I think, well, one, it was wanting to do something cool for Africa. Because I know even me growing up, anything that I saw in Africa was corny or not very uncool. Right. So I think we're in a new generation and culture where it's like we're the ones who can kind of, put our fingerprints on culture and say, no, this is how it should look. So for me, that's why I wanted to create that, because it's like, no, Africa is cool. It's so much culture. I want to show a book that doesn't look like, you know what I mean? Like any African book I've seen.
So dope.
It's just not cool.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just like Shantae, and it comes back to perspective how she now wants to go to Africa just based on your Instagram page. Because you're giving us an experience, you're bringing the visuals, and it's so important for the artists to be the storytellers.
Yeah.
And not the non-artists, not the media projecting a false narrative or someone making an assumption. And I think it's critical, and it's a beautiful thing because that book can now live forever. And how can people find the book if they want to?
They could go to itadicoffee.com or wearelittlegiants.com.
Yeah.
And it's like it's like a kid's coffee table book.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's so dope. That'd be dope to do a little podcast with little kids. That's something. I know it sound weird, but you'll understand after we get off this podcast, because I didn't know. But it was so dope to see, because like you said, I love how people put things out for kids and stuff like that. And it's like, if you know a child and you know colors and certain things that's vibrant that get them excited about things, but the way that book came to life is so
and doing something with friends, you know what I mean, and then building legacy and wealth with friends, because his books do really, really well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry if my couch isn't nice enough for you.
He's like, no, the adjustment. I love this, man. I love what you're doing for the culture, what you're putting out there, and not being afraid to venture off outside of, again, what people truly know you as. I think that's very inspiring to, for a lot of artists, they feel, I don't know, there's always a point of like, oh, if I don't make it by this point, or, and then what is make it to you? You know what I mean? Because so many people feel like you didn't make it unless you're on the Beyonce or Jay-Z level. Yeah. And it's like, people don't understand you could be doing a lot more.
Yeah. No, and that's an interesting and valid point, because I feel like we all have this thought of what success is. Mm-hmm. And for me, I've always felt like, once I get here, I'll be successful. And it's like you keep, and then you're not grateful for the achievements that you have, right? Mm-hmm. So I remember just talking to somebody saying, yeah, once I do this, and they're like, no, you're already, like, you're Tabi, like, what are you talking? You're successful. But I never looked at myself as, you know what I mean? You think, oh, once you have this amount of money or these things. And then I think once you change your perspective and then have more exposure to things. Yeah. Perfect example is just, a good friend of mine. I don't know if you all heard of Murs before.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So Murs had reached out back in the days. This is like MySpace. He had reached out to me saying like, man, I'm a fan. Do you want to do Rock the Bells? Out the blue. And I was like,
that's what we call an oop. Murs,
shout
out Murs.
Yeah, I was just like, absolute. So that's the way I got to like tour and do Rock the Bells, was because of Murs, and with him being a fan. But I learned so much about Murs, where it's like, he's not on the radio, he's not here or there, but he literally owned Rock the Bells and already a multi-millionaire, touring as a rapper, where he's like a blue collar rapper, where I was like, oh, like, you don't have to be, you know what I mean? You could not even be known by a lot of people and be extremely
That's fire.
successful, you
Yeah.
know?
That's almost the best way to do it sometimes.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. It's like I don't even want to be known really.
Yeah.
I'd rather be, you know, because we all have friends that are known.
Yeah. They can't.
And
do
they
a
can't
damn thing.
yeah, you can't really move
Yeah.
peacefully. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like I'd rather just be peaceful and have everything that I need and be able to move around.
Yeah.
Speaking on that point, my biggest question, because we're in the clout generation right now. Like, so what you're saying is, would you rather your art or your work be known more than you yourself being known?
Yeah, I actually would.
It's a very selfless perspective.
Yeah,
Speaks to who you are.
Yeah, and I think, but it's I think it's finding yourself and also experiencing things, right? So it's like we all know you can't stay hot forever. Some
Yeah.
people try, but even the hottest person cools off at some point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you achieve just some level of like that type of success where it's like you're getting all of this attention,
Yeah.
and it's not natural, but no one can train you how to act once you start getting attention. I remember calling certain friends who were like, you know, major celebrities, like, hey, how do you, and they're like, man, you just gotta, I don't know, everybody just gotta figure it out themselves. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But when that's snatched away, it's like a shock to your system.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
snatched away, but once you cool off.
Well, that's where a lot of depression and stuff comes from.
Exactly.
You know?
So you just then got to decide, oh, what's, you know, it's like it's a true shock to your system. So you got to figure out who you are as a person. Does this make me, are you still that person regardless of being known or hot?
What's so cool about that is once you let go of that thought,
Yeah.
that will sometimes lead you to your other gifts that you didn't have time to entertain because now you're being pigeonholed
Yeah.
and you're being pressurized, and you step outside of that. It's like, oh, wow, okay, I found my peace. I'm not caught up here. And when your mind becomes at rest, it starts unraveling your other gifts and you could refocus. Would you say that that's in a way what happened with, for example, the book and of course, Itadi?
I think it's just a journey, and I think I've always, you know, been able to be good at a lot, which was, you know, at the back, if you go 10, 15 years ago, people are like, just focus on one thing because you can't, what is it, master of...
A master, jack of all trades, master of none.
So I think we're coming of age now where we're seeing people like Pharrell, who's able to do so many things. Childish Gambino, who's able to act. Same Andre 3000. He's, you know, it's in where it's like some people just are good at certain things, you know, or more than one thing. And I also just get bored too. So it's like I'll get bored of music where it's like I just want to do something else and something else that challenges me, you know? So I think it's a combination of all the just life and just knowing you could do it or wanting to challenge yourself.
That's dope.
It's an interesting thing as an artist to like I've gotten tired of things, almost feeling like I don't know how much more I have to give. It feels like that, like shooting a special and then having to go back on the road. And I know a lot of people that take advantage of just like, well, I'm hot right now, let me get going.
Yeah.
And I always want to offer something when I get off. So I don't like, I look at my Uncle Marlon and he is a beast. I mean, I like to get in the day before. I like to rest my mind, maybe go fill the city out, do things like that. And then have a day to be ready for tomorrow. My uncle would land right before interview at 6 a.m. and then we go eat, and then he go work out, and then we doing 3-4 shows, and then he got an after party. And in my head, I go, that would drive me.
Did you ever ask him if that's something he built into, so as repetition it became normal to him, or was he always operating from that, like from the get?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think he's the type of artist, especially growing up in such a big family. You know, he was the baby, so now it's like it's my time to shine and going hard. But again, we're in a world right now. I love the independent factor because you create your own fan base. Right now, like y'all were saying, you get a team, and then you got a manager and an agent, and you got publicists and all these people that's really just working you to your last bit of energy so they can make money. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, okay, we got to get to work. We got to do these things because that's what's in and that's what you have to do. And meanwhile, you're losing the very essence of what like made you who you are as an artist. I don't mind going out twice a month instead of every weekend because I want to leave space. Like you have a soul or a soul vibe that is like there's so much love and so much art to pour into this world. I think that's my perspective on you in a lot of ways, and I think that's more fulfilling in life than he was an artist and doing all these things, because I think eventually you change. I think when you get in that space, it's very few people that stay true to themselves.
But in people are built different too. You know what I mean? Because I'm kind of like you, where it's like if I land, I want to just chill out before whatever. But I have friends like I love to tell this story. Just Currency, the rapper Currency. I was in the studio with Ski. Dame Dash was downstairs. Currency had just flown in. He had a show that night. Just flew in, I think, from New Orleans to New York. I'm in the studio with Ski. Currency walks in. We're literally in the middle of like a song. Ski stops my song as soon as Currency comes in. It was like, "Yo, kid, I got a track for you," and just puts on a beat for Currency. Mind you, he just got off the plane, just walked in.
Yeah.
He heard the beat. He sat down and started writing immediately. Not like, "Oh, no, give me a second, I just landed," or "Let me go downstairs, see everybody else." You know what I mean? It was like he sat down, wrote for about, it might have been an hour, finished everything but the hook. And it was like, looked at the time, "Oh, I gotta go. I gotta get to the club because I gotta go on stage."
Oh, wow.
But like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a beast. Yeah.
But then you notice that, when people are like that, you see the elevation. Where so I take from that, and I think I have different seasons. So it's like I can go hard for 3 months.
Yeah.
But then I could the next 2 months or even 4 months, I'm literally doing nothing. You know what I mean? I'm literally just in the house. So it's like, I think it's just, we all have, just like the seasons change, right?
Yeah,
Winter, summer, where sometimes, it's go time. You know what I mean? And I try to pull inspiration from those others that inspire me. And I'm sure you, like your uncle.
Yeah.
But then also too, we got to know our energy as well too, what works best for us, because everybody's different.
That's so real.
Yeah. No, Venti, you work a little extra sometimes, and you be like, "Yo, it's 4 a.m. Come through." I'm like, "Yo, I'm asleep."
I'm trying to get it all done.
Yeah, but that comes tenfold. When I go back to New York, I be like, I can't fathom like being in the street. In certain ways, and I do think it's a different beast that comes out, but there's so many things that I want to work on now that's outside of just doing stand-up, especially in the environment that we're in right now. But again, finding your fan base and doing those things.
Yeah.
You still touring. You back on this tour.
I'm just hopping on.
It's a tour to me, okay? It's a tour to me because I get to come see you live.
No doubt.
And I'm excited about that.
Appreciate it.
First of all, where did that come about? Because you're opening.
I'm opening for this soul singer, legendary UK soul singer, Omar.
Yeah.
I opened for him. Like when I first started, like in 2007, I went on tour with him, like East Coast, West Coast. And with my music, I'm able to like fit with like a soul crowd, fit with like a hip hop crowd, fit with like a rap crowd. I'm able to kind of like, so I'm fortunate enough to be able to even do shows with somebody like that,
Yeah.
But it came about, my old booking agent just hit me out the blue asking, did I want to hop on tour with him? And I said, no, but I'll do these couple of dates to just warm up again because I'm back to working on music. Because he's got I think he's doing a whole U.S., but I was like, no, I'll just do these couple of dates,
Thank you for choosing L.A. because I need to see you.
That's a lot of pressure. It's been a while, so please.
No, but you know what's crazy? What I was sorry.
No, it's good. I just want to know about the set list.
Oh.
Tell the people.
What is he bringing?
Tell the people.
I wanted to. Well, unless you're gonna answer the set list right now,
No,
because I know he thinking right now.
Let's keep it a surprise. Go to the show. Where do we get tickets, y'all? Let them know.
Oh, you could get it at I think performing at the Lodge Room. I think that's downtown LA.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Actually, you could just type in his name.
Yeah,
there you go.
And it'll literally pop up. I mean, you're gonna see a different face because I was confused. I was like, I ain't buying his tickets. Who is this Omar? No. Shout out to Omar. But I want to ask, what do you feel like is different from you being an artist from back in 2007 to when you was like getting into it to now? Like, is there something different you're bringing or?
Yeah, I think, even just moving forward now, I want to always perform with the live band. I've done that in the past, but not like all the time. Before it would be like with a DJ or something like that. So just want to elevate a little bit more and give more of an experience.
Yeah.
But like I said, this one is just me warming back up. So
yeah, I don't care, man. You know it's crazy. As I'm listening to you, I'll be sitting here like, Vinci, we what we should do, all three of us. We should get one of them like jazz spots, and we can do like comedy and live band. But I just love the vibe.
No, I appreciate you. Yeah, appreciate you.
And Tabi, it's amazing having you here today. Any last thoughts of what's next for you outside of the tour? Anything else you're working on?
Yeah, just back to music. And then, actually scaling all of these things now, the coffee, the skincare, we're in stores throughout Texas, trying to elevate that even more. Have cacao on the farms that we're trying to figure out selling wholesale to major companies instead of I have too many brands. I don't want to create a chocolate brand. So I'll sell the cacao to chocolate brand. So yeah, that's
you better
it.
keep that. You better don't sell anything. if my wife and I got married you to take the last name so we can hold it from generations to come, you are not selling no cacao.
No, I mean wholesaling it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Is that a proposal? Like Party Hills podcast where proposals happen.
Listen,
You never know.
I already talked to the wife. She said he's down.
All right. Well, thanks again for coming in. Everybody watching, thanks for tuning in to Party Hills podcast.
Yep. Yeah.
Shantae, this is going to be a great journey with you.
Come on, man. Come on. I know. I love you, brother. Also, before we get out, let them know where they can find you at social media.
Just IG, Tabi Bonney, TABIBONNEY.
Come on now.
He's talking about all these big moves. I'm trying to figure out tomorrow's outfit, but I'm working on a few things. We got Party Hills Idol coming up. Of course, this podcast will be featuring a lot of amazing talent, so please follow Party Hills podcast. It's where all the latest episodes will be posted. And just tune in to Party Hills Music, too. Got some good music coming out there. And this fall, we're doing Party Hills Idol, too. And Shantae, you got a tour, too.
Come on now, Therapy
Tell
in
them
Session.
about your tour.
Therapy in Session, Shantae Wayans. I just actually left one of my favorite DC, one of my favorite states because it got some of my favorite people. DC, we just performed, and I'm coming back to Arlington, which is in a different state, but literally 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
Anyway, Therapy in Session comedy tour. I'm hitting up all spots. Come check me out, cwayans.com. Cwayans on everything.
Big love. And more importantly, kindness. Tabi, thank you for that gem.
Hey.
Be kind.